Welcome to another episode of The Silly Kitchen. I am so excited today because I'm going to introduce you to Katie, and she is here to talk about Vibrant Farms because we're going to make a meal and a recipe today using Vibrant Farms grass-fed organic beef. So welcome, Katie.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
Yay, I love when people are excited, and even if they're lying, I don't care. So let's just introduce Vibrant Farms to the world a little bit. For people who are watching from Waterley region, you're about like a 20-minute drive from me here in Kitchener.
Not even, but 15 minutes.
15 minutes. Well, I drive slow.
I drive a little fast.
So tell us, like, what do you guys do on the farm? What's your specialty?
So we are a grass-fed organic beef farm. We've been organic for 33 years now.
Okay, so like the organic thing isn't just a fad, like this is real.
Yeah.
Like people do care about.
Yeah, I try to coin like we were organic before it was cool.
I love that.
But yes, we raise beef cattle.
Yeah.
And we also have chickens and turkeys on the farm as well.
Oh, nice.
So my dad has been raising cattle this way for 33 years, and it's his passion. It's a thing that he absolutely loves. And
I've met her dad, and he is just so hardworking, and he loves his cattle. Like just seeing him out there on the farm. Oh, by the way, I've been to the farm. It's super awesome. So yeah, just meeting your dad and seeing you guys on the farm. I actually wrote a blog about it, so I'm gonna put a link to the blog that I wrote in the video, just so if you guys want to read a little bit more and see kind of the photos that I took while I was there, just to kind of show people what the farm looks like as well. So what's the deal with organic and organic grass-fed beef? Like, why is that important?
So organic beef organic anything is basically you're not adding any pesticides or antibiotics or anything that shouldn't be in the animal.
And surprisingly, that does happen in other forms of raising and butchering meat.
Yeah,
okay.
So that happens in your conventional farming. That happens
factory
yeah. Farming, that happens all the time. That is
yeah.
in practice. So we don't spray any chemicals on our fields. We don't add any antibiotics or anything, any shots or anything to our cows. We also raise our cows in a closed herd. So what that means is that our cows calves, and then
the baby making process. Yes.
And then they're raised within our herd, and we have one bull. And so we don't bring in any other cows. There's no extra diseases or anything that we could be introducing into our herd. And all of our cows are raised on our land. So we know everything that we put on the land.
Yeah.
All the compost, all the manure that we're putting on, it's all basically being recycled back from the animal, back to the land, back into the animal, because they're then eating the grass from the land that we've preserved and regenerated.
And as someone who is a consumer of your product, it is so, I don't know how to put it in words, but there's something about knowing that this cow is raised here the way that you've raised it, and now that's what I'm ingesting into my body. It's just something in my mind really pulls on my heartstrings to know that I'm supporting a local farmer, but also like this stuff tastes great. It actually tastes different than the store-bought, like really red, pink looking colored beef.
Yeah.
So literally, like as much information as you might want from Vibrant Farms, you can absolutely look them up. I'll link their website and everything. But guys, like I'm telling you, it tastes good. And the one thing that I really noticed a difference of too, we're gonna use ground beef today. You can get different cuts from the farm, but the first time I cooked the ground beef, the amount of fat that comes out when you typically cook ground beef, I scoop it out and I make sure that I get rid of that excess fat. It is not a lot when I get your ground beef. So I like that I feel healthier cooking with this stuff, so it's awesome. Okay, so let's get to the recipe. So if you want to try this recipe at home, this is what you're gonna need. Maybe I should say what the recipe is. We're making mini meatloaf today. So obviously ground beef can be used in so many different ways. I love using this stuff for spaghetti sauce, doing tacos. Hello, Taco Tuesday. So I've used it in a ton of different things. So I wanted to do something a little different, and I thought mini meatloaf would be kind of like a cool way of doing an old school recipe. And I've changed it up and made it mine a little bit. What's your favorite way to do ground beef?
Honestly, I'm old school and I like just our ground beef just as ground beef, and I add it to a stir fry or anything.
Stir fry. Awesome.
So,
I love my veg. I love my veggies too, so I like that you can kind of use meat as not just the hero of a meal, but you can actually kind of incorporate. Oh my gosh, there's so much to do. Okay, so mini meatloaf. I got a pound of grass-fed organic Vibrant Farms beef. I also diced an onion and already fried it so that it kind of got a little translucent, and I wanted to let it cool so that when I add it to the beef, it doesn't cook the beef while we're making this. You're also gonna want salt and pepper for seasoning, a little dry parsley, and instead of breadcrumbs, which is kind of like your typical meatloaf filler or binder, whatever people call it, I took some corn chips and squeezed them in my hand and made it a little bit like a powdery crumble, and we're gonna use that as the binder with the egg.
We'll add some crunch too. Nice.
Well, and a little saltiness, and I don't know, we'll see how it works out. I'm just kidding, I've made this a million times. And then you probably see a couple other things on the table here, because I like to make a sauce that goes on top of the meatloaf as well. And typically a lot of people just put ketchup on top, but I'm gonna take it up a little spice level, but we'll get to that later. So we have a Vibrant Farm egg that we're gonna use as our binder. I'm gonna let you crack it in there. So how often do you guys have layers? Those are the chickens that make eggs. Produce? Like, is it all year round that people can get eggs?
So, thank you.
Yeah.
Primarily all year round.
Yeah.
Right now we're actually going into, our chickens actually went into a molting period. So
Molting.
yeah, to explain what that means. Everybody knows the process of when a woman has a child, she then produces breast milk, and there's a process that happens. Same thing happens with cows. That's how milk is produced from cows. And same thing happens in chickens. So they go through this stage of going through basically preparing for having eggs, having baby chicks.
Yeah.
And then they get to a period where they stop doing that for a period of time.
Okay.
And then most farmers will then, as we do, we will process them as soup hens.
Oh yes, I have heard of that. Yeah.
And
because
then,
these aren't the same type of chickens that you would then put for poultry meat.
Exactly.
So soup hens. Okay.
Yeah. So they're a smaller bird, and they just have less meat on their bones. They're a super active bird, and they, over time, that's what they're.
Yeah. So during this period, you don't have eggs kind of coming out. We have to wait a little while until they're back to producing.
Yeah. So what we do is we process the chickens into soup hens, and then we get a new batch of chickens that
little baby ones.
Little baby chicks, and we raise them
They're
to
so
be
cute.
hens as well. So right now we're in a period of no chickens producing eggs, but in like 3 weeks we'll have eggs again.
Yeah. Perfect. So depending when I post this video, you're already gonna probably have eggs.
Exactly.
Okay, so for the beginning of the recipe for making these mini meatloafs, like I said, I already thawed out a pound of our ground beef. Now, when I buy my beef from your farm, I get them in 1 pound packages, and they come, I'm gonna show you, they come frozen. And I just put it in the sink with cold water and let it thaw out, and then I have this ready to go. But the nice thing is that I can buy it and I don't have to use it right away. I can keep it in the freezer for a little while. How long does something like this typically last in the freezer?
I would say it depends. In this type of freezer, you probably go through it a lot quicker. People have the deep freezes. They also, it tends to stay in there longer, but we always say like 6 to 8 months. And
6 to 8 months?
Yeah, but
that's a long time.
Freezer burnt after that, and you don't, that's not
well,
great.
the more you open and close a freezer or a fridge, you're losing temperature, so that's part of the thing, but I didn't realize 6 months you could even keep it. I usually go through it within like 3 months.
Yeah, most people don't have it last that long, but
it's good to know for families who, you know, might not be cooking regularly, like that they can kind of keep that around. But I'm putting you to work, girl. So we cracked the egg. You did a great job. So let's I whisk it with a fork just before we put it into our ground. Obviously, salt and pepper is like a must, I think, with seasoning. I like a lot of salt, but I also appreciate how beautiful this piece of meat is, so I don't want to over season everything. A little bit of those parsley flakes go in, and the egg can go in anytime. You don't have to whisk it too crazy. Yep. And then remember I was talking about the binder, how I use these not Tostitos, corn chips. I don't want to use brand names. I'm gonna have to beep out the Tostitos that I said. Anyways, any old corn chip, just kind of make sure they're in little pieces and put that in there. Oops, I lost one into the ketchup. This is the silly kitchen. It gets messy. It's
all going to the same place.
Exactly. All right, so I'm not going to use all of this. I'm going to kind of feel it out and figure it out. And then again, remember I said I cut up and diced a little bit of onions and I cooled it down. So I should have probably gotten a spoon for it. Let's see how this works.
How does this work?
This is how I cook. I don't want to use all of these onions. I think I made too much. So I'm going to just pat in what I think. And then we've got all of this in our bowl. Okay, so we've got all our ingredients in the bowl. Have you ever made meatloaf like this before?
I wouldn't say quite like this.
Not silly kitchen way? You've had meatloaf.
I've had meatloaf.
Good. I feel like it's a kind of a classic staple. So the reason I'm using a fork to do this is because I want to mix the ingredients in, but I don't want to mush it too hard with my hands because I want there to be a little bit of air in between the meat and all the ingredients. So I want you to do a good mix, but use a fork to kind of fork it around. Just because if you start kneading it too much, you're gonna kind of get pasty meat and you're gonna overwork it. So this is my tip. Just use a fork to kind of move it all around. Kind of use it to put little holes into breaking out the meat. I know they have like weird tools I've seen on the internet, on the Google, where you can kind of like use a meat separator and stuff, but
I did not know that.
yeah, the internet has so many things on it. But listen, everybody's got a fork in their kitchen, so like just keep it simple. Don't go crazy. I like this. So now that I've forked all of this meat around, I'm glad you think I'm funny. Thank you for amusing me. So now that we have this all mixed together, this is where you get your paws all dirty. And we're gonna make these into kind of little loaf-shaped mini meatloaf. So I'm just gonna grab a little bit. And I mean, your artistic creativity can come out here a little bit in the shape of how you make your meatloaf. I don't know if I could get a nice square. They have pans that you can put like little like rectangular pans. You can also use, if you have a muffin tin, I only have a mini muffin tin, so I didn't want to make mini meatloaf. But you can use a muffin tin and kind of make them that way too. Yours looks better than mine. This is gonna be a meatloaf beauty contest.
Believe it or not, I didn't do well in art class.
Oh, me neither. But like you can even make them in a meatball shape if you want, but then I feel like I'd have to call them meatball meatloaf as opposed to just mini meatloaf. So I mean, do whatever you want, really. It's all going to the same place, like you said. But I love that, you know, like there's a bunch of onions, there's lots of little crispy pieces. Like I think we're gonna have a nice, delicious,
It's gonna be yummy.
Delicious little snack. And when you're making meatloaf, I think traditionally, I think we're making 7 instead of 6. Are mine too small?
Oh, that one's pretty small.
Your first one's large.
Yeah, we'll have to find a friend.
What do you mean? We're not eating all of this today together? Oh boy, oh boy. This is one. I'll make the last one here out of all of this. Okay. See, this will be a little mini one. Well, that's nice. Don't make them all the same size. Maybe the kids want a little one. Maybe the adults want a big one. Who knows?
Your mama and papa meatloafs and your baby meatloafs.
Baby meatloafs and mama and papa meatloafs. I'm so glad you're on the show. Okay, we have to go wash our hands now. We'll be back shortly. Okay, so we have 7 perfectly shaped, even,
perfectly imperfect.
Listen, that is life. I like life. Perfectly imperfect everything. They look beautiful. This one looks like a football, but yours actually look more like actual meatloaf, so I like that. So you're gonna preheat your oven to 350 degrees, and then you're gonna stick these babies in there for probably about 25 minutes, depending on how how hot your oven is. I know they vary slightly. And now, don't worry, we still have to put a sauce on top. So once this goes in the oven, that's when you can make the sauce, then you can clean up, have a drink, and then wait for these to, obviously. I mean, I get parched when I cook. And then in 25 minutes when we take them out, we're gonna put the sauce on top and then put them back in the oven. So give us a couple minutes. The meatloaf is in the oven. We are patiently waiting, but I mean, while we have all this out, we might as well make the sauce. So you can just put some ketchup on top of meatloaf for sure. That's lovely, classic, traditional. But I'm gonna make it a little different. So yes, pick your favorite ketchup. If you're like even super fancy and make your own ketchup at home, use that. I'm also gonna use some hot sauce. So there's different hot sauces and different levels of heat, but I'm gonna go with some classic sriracha, and I'm gonna mix that into my ketchup to spice it up. And then to get a little bit of sweetness and a little bit of smokiness, I'm gonna add my favorite barbecue sauce as well and mix that around. Now,
that'll be good.
So far so good. There's one more ingredient. How are you with the garlic press?
I might be able to man it.
I already peeled it for you, so you could just stick it and squish it, although it's a pretty big meh.
Alright. This is a hefty piece of garlic.
It is a hefty piece of garlic. I'm giving this to you to see if you can manage it.
I don't know, maybe I can't man this.
Come on, you're a beef farmer. Put some muscle into it.
I'm under pressure.
Yes, squeeze. Oh, see, look at those. Look at that strength.
You want all of it?
Yeah, just give her.
Oh, this is gonna be good.
Well, you know, I like flavor. I like, oh here, I'll just take, oh look at all that. Let's not miss out on any garlic. And I mean, we already have onions in the actual meatloaf, so this is all going on top, but I like fresh garlic. I like real food, so if I can add some really good natural flavors, I'm gonna. All right, well, we're still waiting for the mini meatloafs to cook, so I poured us a vodka soda.
Cheers.
And we wait. This will go really good with the meatloaf.
That's a good
pairing.
Good pairing.
Yeah.
Good addition.
Okay, so we're not ready yet, but we're gonna take these out of the oven. They smell good.
I wish you guys could smell this.
Smell-o-vision will exist one day. So we're not ready to eat these yet. It's been probably about 22 minutes or so, but this is where you want to, put your little concoction of sauce on top, because now all the sugars in the barbecue sauce and the ketchup here are gonna kind of cook and give you a little bit of like that kind of, what does sugar do when it cooks? It's what's the word? I don't know. That's a good word. Let's go with crystallized. But like it kind of like sugar burns, right? So you get kind of that cooked crust.
Like crust and hardens, right?
Yeah, it like hardens out. It's really, really yummy.
My knowledge of cooking and cooking terms is pretty limited.
Mine is so vast. No, I'm a home cook, man. I'm not a chef. I didn't go to culinary school. I just think that cooking shouldn't be a chore. You should eat real food and you should enjoy the process of making it. Like, how cute is this? Little meat bundles of deliciousness. Okay, so now that you've got the sauce on, I know you want to eat it right now, but we can't. We have to put it back in the oven. Okay, it's going in the oven.
Burn my face.
Oh my god, don't burn yourself.
So good.
So literally I put the sauce on and put it back in the oven still at 350 for like 3-4 minutes just to kind of cook it all out. And I wonder if you guys can see this, but not a lot of fat kind of poured out. Usually with like ground beef, even lean ground beef, you'd see a lot of that fat kind of pour out. Not with Vibrant Parms. Okay, so I just use a little fork to kind of scoop these on to plate them. You just have to be careful because you don't want them to kind of fall over on the sauce side because they look so much prettier. Oh. Are you ready?
I'm so excited.
You came for lunch, really, right? My favorite thing about cooking is eating.
Yeah.
But the fact that I get to share recipes and cook for people, like, I feel like one of those little old ladies that just wants someone to be happy with their food, and they just watch people eat and they're like, oh, eat, enjoy, eat some more. My mom, eat something after I've had 3 plates of food. It's amazing what I've learned and taken on as traits from my wonderful, cute mom. But there we go. So we've got them all plated. I am going to take this pan, I'm gonna put that right here. I'm gonna take this pan out of the way.
I wish you guys could smell this right now. Oh.
I would never do that. Face plant right into there. So, I mean, guys, there's 2 of us. We're probably gonna eat 1 or 2 of these each, and you have a couple other ones left over for lunches. You can put it in the fridge and warm it up for dinner tomorrow. Make some potatoes, make some rice, some vegetables alongside with it, and
some friends over.
Yeah, well, yeah, I guess if you have a few friends, you can. 1, 2. How many do we make? 7. So if we have 3 people, so 1 friend.
We can have half a friend.
Half a friend. I hope they're not hungry because I really want to eat all of these. Let's just go with you and I today.
Sure.
We're gonna clean this up. It's gonna be great. Okay, Katie, we made mini grass-fed organic beef
meatloaf.
I was gonna say meatballs because this one looks like a ball. We made mini meatloafs using the wonderful Vibrant Farms grass-fed organic beef. This is my favorite part of the show because we worked so hard. We get to now cut into this and have what I like to call TV bites. Oh, look at the steam coming out of it. What I like to call TV bites, but they're never TV bites because I just chew through and talk through it. So cheers. Okay, cook, right?
All right.
Your beef's alright.
I'll come back.
Guys, thank you so much for watching. Go ahead, have another bite. My kind of girl. I love that. Thank you so much for watching another episode. Make sure you check out Vibrant Farms. They're on social media. They have a website. I will link all of it. But also, if you are liking the show, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you can see more. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, let's just keep eating.
Keep feeding me.
Bye. See you next time.
Bye.
It's like,